Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. This is Hejin Lee with a morning update for Bitcoin. Last night we left with this pattern, and clearly prices came right above, back up, past the trend line, upper resistance line. And I guess the better way to see is maybe start with a clean slate. And usually what I do is I draw lines. This. If this is correct, and because Bitcoin loves to set up triangle patterns for consolidation, then what we can say is that instead of this being A, because this peak is higher, A, B, C, D, and E. Now remember, for corrections like this, there are 36 possible combinations. And it's notoriously difficult to try and get the count accurate, because 1 in 36 is what? Less than 3%. Those are pretty poor odds. I guess to be exact, like 2.78%. Which is why I often don't trade. I don't try to jump in and out during a correction, because you got less than 3% chance of getting it right. And the number of updates you have to do will be frequent, because change is constant. So this update I'm doing now, since price did come above it, will be A, B, C, D, E. That means this correction could take some time. Until maybe middle of next week, if this is the case. So this is one scenario. Again, just drawing some lines on a clean slate. The other scenario is this is starting to trend. And what I mean by that is we'll go up here like this. How long it'll trend depends on when it wants to finish. But usually, if it trends within parallel lines or pretty close to parallel lines, what is that indicative of? When you see a pretty good trend, you can see a very nice impulse going. So here's a very nice impulse, like shown 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 during that expanded ABC correction. So we have, if this is a impulse-like move, what we can see is perhaps one, two. Oops. One, two, and then if it busts out, breaches the upper trend line, 3, down back to the trend line as support, 5. And that'll increase the target to 10,584 based on where this 5 would be. Okay, back to a clean slate. Now the reason why I'm going through these rounds of alternatives is this is what's going on in my head all the time whenever I see a chart. I look for the alternates. And by setting up the alternates in that scenario, and since these alternates are on the more probable side, remember technical analysis is nothing but identifying as many possibilities and selecting a handful of probabilities from which you identify your most probables, your primary, secondary, and maybe tertiary probable price pathway. So when you do that, when you run through these scenarios, and when price takes an action that deviates from your primary, it'll land on one of your alternates. Therefore, number one, you don't get surprised. Number two, you almost expect it from a probable perspective, and that is more probable than possible. Number three, you're not reactive and emotional and sell out of panic or buy out of FOMO. Both are detrimental. Again, both are detrimental. When you sell out of panic or when you buy out of FOMO. FOMO, F-O-M-O, stands for fear of missing out. Let's say here it was screaming, oh my God, it's going to go to the moon, buy, buy, buy. And you didn't even consider this as an alternate. Okay. Now, even if you bought here, it came down here. If then you considered an expanded alternate, you would have taken yourself out. As soon as it went below your buy point, let's say, or made a went lower than the prior highs. And this head and shoulders would have taken you out here, if not at all. This is for a trader, if you're actively trading. So what is another one? Another pattern that should be screaming out at you. We kind of went over this before. So there's double bump left shoulder. Here's a right shoulder. And here's the head. And if we do a minimum price measurement, I go to the bottom of the head, lowest point of the head, and draw a vertical line to the neckline. This line is called a neckline. And instead of doing the math subtraction, I just copy this line and juxtapose it. There you go. What do I get here? 10,397. Okay, so I made a mistake. I'm back from the editing point. I realized that there was a point where I didn't click record again after pausing. I think I left off at this end. Head and shoulders, neckline, minimum price measurement shows 10,397. And in the other channeling scenario, we saw 10,584. And this is what I call the confluence of Elliott waves and chart pattern recognition. It allows you a more probabilistic ability to peek around the corner to see what's next. I have been consistent in saying that what's important is not the accuracy of your wave counts. What is important is not the accuracy of your labels. What's important is you getting the overall trend direction correct. And that's where, by combining Elliott waves and chart pattern, when you're getting double hits telling you higher highs are coming, then you have a greater sense of confidence in making that call. All right. So here we have a new clean slate again. While the peak of this is not exactly equal to the peak of that, pretty darn close. This could be an ascending right triangle. If you draw a parallel line, and a vertical line until it meets that parallel line, you can get a minimum price travel for 92.23. You have now another instance of chart patterns saying higher highs are to come. If we go to Bitcoin Cash, very little change. All I want to do is move the wave a little to the lateral to the right because time has elapsed. Target remains at 2068. Funny how Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin now are in phasic coordination. They are in phase. They're both overall moving upwards. Let's see how long that lasts. All right. I hope this has been helpful. And as always, as I say, I hope I have earned the right to ask you for the consideration of your upvotes. Follow and read themes. And for any of you who are new to my blog, welcome. Please note that at the end of each blog are links to tutorials that precisely and in detail explains my methods. And once you review that, a lot of my posts and analysis explanations will make a lot better sense. Have a good day.